Yeah, some Saturday in the Park. We're back after a 2-week hiatus here to unwind and recharge the batteries. I'm Ralph Williams, your host for this morning's External Bum Show. But guess what? Here, don't think that it's the Fire Up Show. It is the Fire Up Show, but we're on this morning on the External Bum. So I want to welcome Candy Ebling, who's filling in for Scott this morning, Scott's wife, and also handles all business with South Florida Tribune. Also, Jeremy Ballrick here from the Kneecap and Detroit Lions. And Leo Haggerty, Amped Up Sports. Welcome back, Leo. Welcome back, everybody, to the External Bum Show. Good morning to everyone here. Everybody introduce yourself. We'll start with Leo. Go ahead with you.
Yeah, I'm on Amped Up Sports. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. We're there. And Ralph, I'm trying something new. If you're getting some feedback, let me know, and I'll change this. All right?
Yes, it don't sound bad right now.
Okay, let me know because I'll change it when I have to.
Okay, Candy Ebling, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Ralph, for inviting me on today. I am filling in for Scott. Scott and I do South Florida Tribune. We have a YouTube channel. We do programming Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. I take pictures. Scott writes. He wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Kindle. And we're amped up because it's going to be a great weekend. We are going to the FAU game at noon, and then we have the Miami Hurricanes tonight at 6, and then tomorrow the Marlins game. So it's going to be a sports-filled weekend.
I named them all accidentally.
Jeremy Ballrick, introduce yourself, Jeremy.
Well, I also write for the South Florida Tribune about these pesky little Lions guys. You know, they took the nation by storm last year, and now they're media darlings, and I don't know how to handle it. But I have my channel where I do my podcast 5 times a week at noon to 1 about the Lions. I also have Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. But I think Sundays, now that the NFL is here, is done because I don't like fighting with primetime NFL games. You can fight with the Monday Night Football games as long as the Lions aren't on it.
All right. Okay, today... this morning, we're going to get started with our bum segment. Candy, since you're the special guest here today, we'll get started with you. Who's your bum for this morning?
My bum from this morning is Roger Goodell. Putting NFL games in soccer stadiums in towns that are not safe, telling the players not to leave the hotel, don't bring your friends and family, and then all of the players slipping and sliding on soccer field because that's what a soccer field is made to. So, because the guys in soccer slide more, and NFL players can't do that. Last night's game, doesn't matter who won or lost, but the problem was there was slipping and sliding all over. So that's my bum for the week.
All right, Jeremy.
My bum is Detroit sports media in general. I have listened to many sports channels, read many writings, and all around the trade deadline, they berated second-year GM Scott Harris for not trading Tariq Skubal. Well, lo and behold, the hottest team in baseball right now since the All-Star break and the trade deadline is the Detroit Tigers. They have won 68% of their games and have moved up to where they're in contention to get a playoff game by the end of the season. Shame on you for telling a GM he doesn't know what he's doing, and this team won't win if we don't trade him. What a bunch of idiots.
All right, Leo Haggerty, your bum today.
Well, I got a bunch of bums, and it's going to be Florida State, and it's going to be LSU, and it's going to be Clemson. Guys, start with the little sisters of the poor. Get a game under your belt. And again, Florida State, catch this now. They are 17th in a 17-team conference right now. They are 0-2. You can stick a fork in the Seminoles. They're done, and they're only 2 games into the season. They had to go to Dublin, which is another mistake. You know, start at home. If you think you're a top 25 team, start at home. They go to Dublin, lose a conference game. You never play a conference game. I'll give LSU credit. I'll give Clemson credit. They lost. It doesn't count in the conference game, especially now when 12 teams are going in. But Florida State, what a bummer. What a mistake. Just going to play 2 conference games right out of the gate. You're 0-2. And you know what? When you have a team of pay-for-play mercenaries like Florida State does, if they lose their next one, all those guys are going to jump in the portal so they don't lose the year of eligibility. That's what happens when you have mercenaries.
All right. All right. My bum today is the New York City football coach. It's a high school football coach who slammed the kid's head into so many times that the kid needed several staples in his head, and then failed this kid for the whole year. He actually failed him for the whole year. This guy is a bum, a big-time bum. And my other bum is the Pittsburgh Pirate closer, David Bednar. I told the Pirates at the beginning of the season to start Paul Skeens in the bullpen and have him be an acting closer until Bednar comes back. Bednar was hurt at the beginning of the year in spring training. I said this, and now the Pirates have to eat it because now Bednar is not doing his job as the closer. He's given up too many runs and whatnot. And he still has that same injury that he had from spring training. Why would you do this, Pittsburgh Pirates? Of course, nothing surprises me about what the Pittsburgh Pirates do. So they're bums as well. And also, they're bums for canceling a game yesterday, thinking that the weather was going to be bad at night, and they canceled it and made it into a doubleheader today. How could you be so stupid? The weather never even showed up. They didn't even start the game. They just decided to cancel the damn thing and then make it a doubleheader today because they thought bad weather was coming. Look, the weathermen here, they stink. They're always wrong, and they stink. And I can't believe a job where you get $50,000 or more, whatever you make per year, and you can be wrong. I wish I could be wrong and still have a job. That's my bums for today. All right.
Hey, Ralph, I got to jump on here because I need you to talk about this.
What's
I'm
that?
looking at the United Soccer League. Okay, now you're going soccer, what? The Pittsburgh Riverhounds are undefeated in their last 9 games. I didn't even know you had soccer up there, bud.
Yeah, they do. We have a team, and we've had them since 1999. I cover them very heavily on my shows. Yeah, they do. They sell out too up here, at Highmark Stadium. In fact, they sell out so much they're actually expanding the stadium in the next 2 years. They're going to go from 6,000 up to 13,000. They're expanding the stadium and doing some things.
If you win, they will come, right?
I'm sorry?
If you win, they will come.
Yes, exactly. And they've won over the years. Now, they've had some bad luck this year. I know they're undefeated right now, but in some games. But at least the ones that they lost, Leo, they have not been blown out. They haven't lost like 5-0 or 6-0. They've all been 0-0 games. They have the most ties in the USL. So it's been that kind of season for them. But at least they've hung in there on these games. And I have to give them at least that kind of credit for doing that.
So, all you want to be is competitive, right, Jeremy?
Be competitive, win games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, what the heck happened here? Oh, there we go. All right. Having some technical issue. Oh, there we go. All right, folks, we're going to get started today on our topics. Our first topic is the new NFL coaches. We're going to break each one of them down. What do you think their team's going to do this year? And then also we're going to talk about some of the new college coaches as well for this year with the major programs. We're not going to dig into like, whatever, Colorado State and Colorado State and, technical school or whatever, whoever has something like that, or the prison league or something. But we're going to dig into the college and some of them. What's up, says Patty. Thank you, Patty, for being part of the program.
I can talk about the National Penal League and the Mean Machine getting 4 new players this year.
Sure, if you want to do that. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to start with Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans. We'll start with you, Leo.
Well, he's facing a real challenge because he doesn't have that machine behind him and Derrick Henry. I'm thinking they're going to be okay. Now, okay is anywhere between 7 and 9 wins. So I'm going to take them, 8 and 9 out of the gate.
Okay. How about you, Jeremy?
Believe it or not, I actually think the Titans are in better shape than that. They revamped that defense to make it a little easier on a new head coach. Brian Callahan actually did an admirable job in college, and going from Mike Vrabel to a guy like this, a guy that's a little more even keeled in how he coaches. He's a little bit offensive and a little bit defensive, more towards the offensive side, which is the exact opposite of what Vrabel was. And the defense looks good enough talent wise that they might be able to adapt to the newer scheme a little quicker than some other teams. I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 teams in the NFC South are contending, because you have the juggernaut that is the Texans, and they're the favorites right now, and then it's the Jags, and then you got 2 up and comers in the Colts and the Titans. Last year, everybody in that division was 1 game out of being in a wild card spot. So, and that was with a down year, and Derrick Henry is not what he used to be. We saw that Thursday night.
Yes.
So I don't think they lost much, but they're not gaining much in Tony Pollard. It's going to be more on the back of that offensive line to block for Will Levis and the receivers.
All right, Candy.
One of the smartest moves he did is he brought in his dad, Bill Callahan, who's arguably one of the game's best offensive line coaches, to help. And that to really, people forget that. And I think that's really going to help propel Will Levis, because I think that's what he really needed. He needs a good line. He needs, and they brought in Tony Pollard to pair with Tyre Spears, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd are massively upgrade targets. I think that division is going to be kind of tough. I think they're all pretty good and improved, I would say. I think they'll do pretty good. I don't know exactly what their record will be, but they'll be improved, though, I think. So, good
All
morning,
right,
everybody.
Brent, thank you for being on this morning. Sorry to interrupt, Candy. I didn't mean to do that to
No,
you.
you're fine. You're fine.
Anyway, hello, Brent, who says, good morning, Candy, Leo, Ralph, and JB. J-Lo was 50%. I heard the field sucked also. Yes, indeed.
The field was atrocious there in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And Candy's exactly right. Anytime you're going to go to a soccer field, that they don't go there ahead and let NFL groundskeepers treat that ground, it's going to look like this. That
Right.
ground is made for people to slide on, because that's what soccer players do after every time they celebrate anything, including a red card if they did it right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Dale's chiming in here. He says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dale. Thank you, Brent, as well. Patty, everybody that's part of the comments section here. We always appreciate your comments and tuning in. I think Brian Callahan, as everyone mentioned here, is going to do a pretty decent job. But you know what? First-year coaches sometimes, they got to get their feet wet as a head coach. And it takes 1 or 2, maybe sometimes 3 years to get your feet wet. It depends on how patient the ownership group is. The Tennessee Titans ownership group has been patient with Mike Vrabel. I'm sure they're going to be patient with Brian Callahan. Let's see what he does with Tennessee. All right, our next head coach. I'm going to do this because it's Dave Canales for the Carolina Panthers. And we'll start with you, Candy. Dave Canales.
The Carolina Panthers, what can we say about them? They have not been good for how long? He's got his hands full. That's what I'm going to say about him. I mean, yes, he's going to have to try and get the most out of Bryce Young. That's not going to be easy. I mean, they finished last year 2-15, the worst league in the squad. I mean, I don't know. I give them a lot of credit. I mean, their only way to go is up. So, what do you have to, judge him from? But, and he's done it before. He revived Baker Mayfield before. So you just never know. Let's wait and see.
All right. King SJ says, good morning, all. Good morning to you as well. Also, Brent, yes, 100%. Ralph, Coach Campbell took a while also. And, hey, okay, Brent says, hey, King SJ. All right. Jeremy.
Well, with Dave Canales, I'm going to go to his track record as a QB's coach. Because look at what he did in Seattle when they got Geno Smith after they traded away Russell Wilson. He resurrected his career out of ashes. Because let's face it, Geno Smith's career was about 1 foot on a banana peel and the other one in the retirement grave. And made him into a $33 million quarterback. Fast forward a year, he leaves them and goes to Tampa Bay. Whose career does he resurrect? Baker Mayfield. Who got how much for his extension? $33 million a year, while his career was 1 foot on a banana peel and in the retirement grave. Because everybody knew he had flashes of brilliance, but he wasn't consistent. Last year, he was the model of consistency. 64% completion percentage, over 4,000 yards, and threw more touchdowns and interceptions for the first time since his rookie season. Who he upset who in the playoffs that year? I'm trying to remember.
Which year was that, Jeremy? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His rookie year when they made the playoffs and he upset a team. Who was it he upset in the AFC?
He didn't upset them. He destroyed them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he had one hell of a game, and then he didn't go back again until 2020, which was his last year there, and they upset, as much as I hate to say it, a team that went 11-0 to start the season in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steelers, yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, that was
his 2 playoff wins, and this is where I thought the Browns were idiots. They dropped him to trade for Deshaun Watson in 2021, who had to miss 11 games, and they paid him $45 million a year guaranteed to do it.
Yeah, they really laid an egg on that one, Jeremy. With Deshaun Watson.
Wow, that's all I got to say on that.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
The biggest problem Canales has right now in Carolina is he saw he's got with Dave Tepper, an owner who is not patient. He blew out Frank Reich midway through last year of his first year of coaching. And thank God Carolina traded that first round pick to Chicago, because if they'd had another first round pick, they'd have probably had to take another quarterback, which was kind of crazy. But one thing about Canales, the first thing I think he puts on his board when he sits down with his quarterback is the word KISS. You know what KISS stands for?
Keep it simple,
stupid, right? And he kept it so simple for both quarterbacks out in Seattle and then Baker Mayfield in Tampa. In fact, he's getting hammered here in Tampa for being so vanilla and everything. But you know what? His job was to make Baker Mayfield comfortable, and he made him comfortable. That was huge. He's got to make him comfortable up there. Don't look for them to be real exotic. Don't look for them to be really crazy on offense. Look for them to run the football, play action, and try to get their quarterback back to where they think he was. And that's the key, to get him where they think he was. Right now, this is a make or break here for Carolina quarterback. If he doesn't improve, they're going to have to I think they're going to win 5 or 6 games, just because Canales is going to give them that stabling influence that, and again, he's the quarterback whisperer. He's going to keep his guys on task. He's going to keep them there. And you know what? I just don't think you're going to see anybody who's, going to be 2-15. I think, 4 or 5 wins, if they're lucky, 6. But that's what I'm looking at Carolina.
I would have never took that job. That's David Tepper's the worst owner in the world. Now, here's the interesting part about it. He's from Pittsburgh here, went to school at Carnegie Mellon University, one of the most expensive universities in the country. And, you would have thought he might have had a little bit of brains. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he was standing in the line for trains instead of brains, because this guy really doesn't know how to run own a football team. Go ahead, Jeremy.
But I'm going to go back to one thing that happened this year that I think was the best thing to ever happen to Carolina Panthers. When they hired Dan Morgan, he went to Dave Tepper. He goes, "You're going to shut up. You're going to sit back and you're going to let me run the team." So
Oh.
with
Where you're
him
not gonna
saying
have-
that,
And you know what? People don't realize this, but guess where Morgan came from? The Seattle Seahawks. Guess where Canales was at when
Right.
he turned Geno around? Seattle. That's
I
a
understand,
very
but
safe pick by Morgan because he knows he's got a guy who's even-tempered and can make a quarterback better.
But Dan Morgan also was a player for the Panthers that yelled at Tepper and told him to shut up. And he might actually respect him enough to listen to him. That's the thing I was getting at.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're in the Marta Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-201-0500. Call Marta today. Look, summer's wrapping up. If you need to get your air conditioner serviced, and then also have them come and service your furnace because winter's coming, and you can get UV lighting. Hey, I tell you what, the worst thing in the world is to have somebody come up to your property and there's no lighting there, and they're trying to steal something or they're trying to break into your house. Call Marta Heating and Air Conditioning. They have great UV lighting. 724-201-0500. They're our studio sponsor here for the External Bum Show. Also, this segment brought to you in part by our new sponsor, Digital Data, who just did my website, www.rwmediaproductions.com, and they give you the on-demand access to a team, and I'm talking about a team of professional web designers, and it's driven marketing skills for you personally or your business. Give them a call today, 1-866-276-9504. That's 1-866-276-9504. Digital Data, they did my website. They'll do yours too. Give them a call today. Reasonable monthly rates. They won't take you to the cleaners like everybody else does. All right, our next coach, Jim Harbaugh. This one should be a simple one here pretty much. We all know what Jim Harbaugh has done in the NFL and can probably do a second time. We'll start with you, Candy.
You know, we all know what he's done. I mean, he's had success where he's gone. He built Michigan up, but will that translate back to the NFL? That's kind of one of the biggest questions. And his quarterback is dealing with plantar fasciitis on his right foot, so like that's gonna, play a part. And they're in a tough division. Like he faces Kansas City. So he's going to have an uphill climb. But I think he'll do good.
All right. The question someone asked was how long the show's on till. We're here from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every single Saturday morning, right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. Also, I wanted to let everyone know, don't forget Saturday, October 5, the debut of the return of the Sports Corner radio show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, and our new co-host that's coming in, our third wheel, Claudio Rosano. And those of you who don't know who Claudio Rosano is, he has a book out. He also is the baseball coach at Carnegie Mellon University, and he has several shows, and he has a website called crsmmedia.com, who is also a national sponsor of Sports Corner as well. And also you can catch all Sports Corner shows on that network as well. And they're also being uploaded onto my website, and you can catch them on my YouTube channel. And please don't forget to subscribe. I need 30 more to make an even 200. Leo, you're next. Jim Harbaugh.
I'll tell you what Harbaugh is going to bring to the Chargers is immense. They're going to be tough. And he's not going to allow a soft team to get on the field. I'm thinking the Chargers to get to the playoffs as a wild card. I'm thinking they're going to be 10-7. Again, the key is, can their quarterback stay healthy? That's the biggest thing. Again, that's why Tampa Bay, they're not getting any love because no one thinks Baker Mayfield can put two seasons together healthy. Well, if you go out to San Diego, if they line up their quarterback, in fact, guys, I think it's the same way every place. Look at the Packers now. If Jordan Love is hurt, I mean, their season's over. It's almost like the Jets last year when Rodgers went down the fourth play of the season. They knew they were playing just to get to the golf round in January because they were going nowhere. Packers may have the same bet. I'll tell you what, I'm looking for San Diego. Oh, geez, I'm sorry. They're the Los Angeles Chargers.
The Los Angeles Chargers, yes.
Yeah, in fact, as funny as it sounds, I go back to Keith Lowe and John Hadel when they started as the Los Angeles Chargers, then moved to San Diego. But you know what? I think they win 10 games. I think they surprised everybody and get to the playoffs.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. They have all the talent to get there. Can he put it together? We've seen this before. It may or may not happen. New coaches depends really on the situation around them. The talent's there. They've added to it. It possibly could work, but then again, we've seen it where a team has all the talent in the world and the chemistry between the coach and the team never happens. So they're either going to be great in a year or two, or they're going to fall flat on their face. There is no in between. There's not in the first year. The first year, it's one or the other, and we've all seen it where there's been enough talent where they say, wow, this team might contend for a division, and the next thing you know, they're picking in the top 5.
You know what, Jeremy? I'm going to jump in here real quick. I think you are spot on. If a team doesn't buy into what the coach is selling, they're not going to be good. I mean, I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay when John Gruden came in. John Gruden that first year, they bought in. But then after that, he just shut that team out, and they didn't buy in, and they never went back to the playoffs. Here's a Super Bowl team that doesn't go back, a winner. But again, Jeremy, you're all over it. You got to get a buy-in from the players, and it's got to happen early.
All right. I think Jim Harbaugh, I agree with everyone here pretty much that he's been a winner everywhere he goes. And I think he'll be a winner in LA. Once again, he's a new coach with a second tenure in the NFL. And, he has the talent. Bill Cowher, for example, first year he was with the Steelers. He had Chuck Noll's talent, and he was able to take them to the playoffs his first year. And there's been many coaches that have done it as well, including D'Amico Ryans down in Houston. Look at what he's done to that team. So I think Jim Harbaugh can do the same in LA, and I think I agree with the panel here that I believe they're pretty much going to be, and they could be in the playoffs this year, and we'll see what happens. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I say that a lot as well. Next, Mike McDonald, Seattle Seahawks. We'll start with you, Jeremy.
Seattle Seahawks is another one of those that's the same way, but Mike McDaniel, is it McDaniel or McDaniel? However you say it.
McDonald.
Former DC of Michigan, former assistant DC with the Ravens, who did amazing things and then promoted each way he went. Now he's went straight up to the top. Will he be another DC that should have stayed a DC, or will he be a DC that's a great head coach? Again, going to a team that has a lot of talent. They've added to it. It's all about that chemistry. And so far, you've heard nothing other than great things out of Seattle, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate to a great season, because we heard great things out of other camps with new coaches. And they, again, some of them make the playoffs, go a worst to first type thing, and other ones fall on their face and stay in that worst column for a while.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, Candy.
One of the things that's going to be a true tell is Pete Carroll gave them a lot of freedom. And that's what the players are saying, is that there wasn't as much structure. Mike McDonald came in, and now there's a whole lot more structure. So it's the question is going to be, do the players buy into this system, and are they okay with all that structure? Because that's a huge change. It's like night and day. But Pete Carroll is also staying on as advisor, so Carroll isn't gone. He's still around. They do have a lot of talent, but they also play with the Rams and the 49ers in that division too. So, again, it's tough. I think any first-year coach is tough the first year, because you really have to gel with everybody. And like everybody said, you have to have the buy-in from the players. So whether they buy in from the difference between Pete Carroll and McDonald, I mean, he's done great things defensively. Hopefully that he'll be able to, I think Pete Carroll had taken the Seattle to the ceiling. Like he wasn't going to get them any further, and so they needed to infuse some new blood in there. So hopefully this is what the change that they needed.
All right, Leo.
You know what? It's interesting that you look at Seattle, because if there's a team that is road warriors, it's the Seattle Seahawks. Your closest game is Southern California. I mean, think about this. They put in the most miles of anybody any season. Now, when you look at what Seattle has to do, they've got to stay healthy. They got to keep Geno Smith upright. They've got to find a way to do that. Because I'll tell you what, if you haven't been there, that is the loudest stadium in the National Football League. No question. It isn't even close to anybody else. And it's because of the way the stadium is structured. The stands hang out almost over the field. So when the fans get up, and the fans in Seattle do not sit down the entire game from kickoff to the final horn. They stand. And they are loud. That sound goes up, it hits that roof and comes back down. That's why they lead the league in procedure penalties, because you flat out can't hear out there. It is just thunderous noise the whole time. I'm going to come out on a limb right now, guys. 9 wins may get you into the playoffs in the NFC, because there is so much balance all around. You can't really go out and jump out other than San Francisco. Name me a division where you're going to say, hey, I'll bet the mortgage they're going to finish first in their division. I mean, the North, you don't know. Minnesota, their quarterback's hurt. Green Bay, their quarterback's hurt now. You look at the NFC South, Atlanta, hey, Kirk Cousins, how's he going to do? And if you look at the East, the Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, how's that going to work? I think Seattle wins 8 to 9 games and is right on the cusp of getting to the playoffs.
All right. Thank you, Dale, for your responses. Brent, also Patty, I want to thank you folks for being on the air here with us here with the comment section. If you want good pizza, how about calling the original hometown pizza, Moon Township, out by the Pittsburgh International Airport, right on University Boulevard. Look, you're a Robert Morris student, or if you're someone who works out that way, you need lunch or whatever. I tell you what, the original hometown pizza has some great pizza for you. 412-264-4444. Delivery, takeout, eat in. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. Get a discount on your order. The original hometown pizza. All right, everyone. Here we're going to get back into this here. All right, next, Jarrett Mayo, New England Patriots. Leo, start with you.
Boy, if they can win 6 games, it's a good season. They're in a meat grinder division. They are a distant fourth right now behind Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets. They got question marks at quarterback. They got a new head coach. They're still living in the Tom Brady era. Their fans. I'm thinking 6-11. That's pretty much it out of New England. So yeah, it's going to be a work in progress up there. But I think Jared Mayo gets it done, but not this year.
All right, next our special guest Candy Ebling, who's filling in today for her husband Scott Morganroth. Candy, go ahead with your thoughts on Jared Mayo or Jared Mayo or whatever they call him over there.
Mayo, and he needs he needs a lot of help. Part of it is I think once you follow such a dynasty of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, that everybody expects more, and they're not going to get it out of this one. They're not going to get it out of Jacoby Brissett. He's got his work cut out for him. I mean, they're going to try and develop Drake May, and yes, he looks good, but he's 3rd overall draft pick, so it's going to take time. Don't expect a lot now. Maybe with their GM Elliott Wolf, he'll be able to get some better players in there, and I don't see a good season this year, but maybe in the future.
All right. Dale says, Ralph, what's with the French fries on sandwiches and salads? That's what we do here in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to say who the place is with the sandwiches. We've had a dispute over some advertising, and I refuse to talk about them on this program. And I'm not going to say anything because the last time I said something, they went to the radio station where I had my show and gave them an ultimatum. Either I don't say anything about them, or they were going to cut their advertising from the station, which I thought was actually a bummer. They should have came to me and talked to me about it instead of going behind my back and trying to get the radio station to shut their advertising down with them. So I have nothing to say about the sandwich, but the salads, yes, we do put French fries on our salad as well, and that's a Pittsburgh staple. Jeremy, go ahead with your thoughts. Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo inherited the worst,
Mayo or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Gerard Mayo inherited the worst roster in the NFL, much to the chagrin because they let Bill Belichick be his own GM. And that guy couldn't draft a wide receiver to save his behind. And he couldn't do much better with drafting quarterbacks. He got lucky that Tom Brady fell to the 6th round and they took a chance on him. And nobody knew when he took over for Drew Bledsoe what was going to happen the next 20 years. But 6 Super Bowls later, and here we are, Gerard Mayo gets a contract as a defensive coordinator that says if Bill ever gets fired or resigns, he becomes the head coach automatically. That's why there was no search in New England. It was in his contract. It was ironclad. It automatically puts them in a positive light with the Rooney Rule because unfortunately, he was considered an ethnic minority, which is so stupid to say these days. Hire the best person for the job. That's my suggestion to every owner and GM out there. Do we know he's going to be good? No. Do we know he's going to be bad? No. Again, but there's no talent around him. So you're going to have to give him 3 to 4 years to see if there's any resemblance of life in a division where they're going through three possible perennial playoff teams the way those teams are built. You got the Jets that are up and coming. They were a quarterback away last year, going 7-10. You got Miami that should have won the division, but gave it away at the end of the season. And the Bills, who have been in the playoffs every year since, 4 Super Bowls in a row and can't do anything with it.
All right.
There you go.
So, yeah, Jeremy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt that.
That's okay. I was done.
Okay. I think, Gerard Mayo, if he surrounds himself with some good coaches, he's got an offensive coordinator that I'm very familiar with from Pitt, Alex Van Pelt. I watched him as a quarterback play football. He has intensity. He has fire. Him and Kevin Stefanski didn't get along in Cleveland. It got so bad that Alex Van Pelt almost came to Pitt after Mark Whipple left to become our offensive coordinator for Pitt under Pat Narduzzi because he got so disgusted with Kevin Stefanski. I'm glad he's with New England now. He can call his own plays and do his own thing and not fight and argue with Stefanski, who has a bad attitude and thinks that his doo-doo don't stink and all that stuff. And guess what? The results are Cleveland stinks. They always will stink. And that's my thoughts there with Gerard Mayo or however it's pronounced. Next, Raheem Morris, Atlanta. Start with you, Jeremy.
Oh, Raheem Morris, a retread of another head coach. We saw how it worked with Dennis Allen going to New Orleans. It hasn't. Will it work in Atlanta? They've added everything to make him successful. Let's not squirrel it away. They got him a better QB. They traded away the trash QB. They got him. They drafted the guy to take over for the future because let's face it, Kirk Cousins is up there in age, and you don't know if he'll retire in 2 years or if he'll retire in 10 because we don't know if he can last like Tom Brady. But after an Achilles injury, I'm going to guess not at 33 years old. So they got the heir apparent in place. They've got one of the best defensive rosters assembled with the additions of Matthew Judon by trade and signing Justin Simmons. Because let's face it, the guy they signed off of the Bengals squad didn't do anything for him last year and didn't make him better. So they had to replace that talent with somebody who's as talented or more, and Justin Simmons is more. So the ceiling is winning the division. The floor for them is second place. If it's anything less than that, Raheem Morris is another failed retread of a head coach.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
Well, guys, we sat here last year and we said, what was the one thing missing in Atlanta? We said a quarterback. Well, they got a quarterback. They brought in two big pieces of the defense, and they got crucified for using their first pick to take Penix. And my thing was, this is a stroke of genius, because if Cousins is who you think he is, they're going to win at least 10, 11, 12 games. They're never going to pick 8 again for years. You got your quarterback, and you know you're going to be able to trade and pick up somebody who's going to improve your defense. Kirk Cousins is going to be the key with what happens to Raheem Morris. If Cousins is lining up in January under center, Falcons will probably win the NFC South and make some noise in the playoffs. That'll be just something you want to watch. I think Raheem's going to do well, because everybody talked about Raheem's time in Tampa. Well, guess what? The Glazers said, Raheem, you want to be the head coach? Then he's not going to say no. If Pepper came to me after he got rid of Frank Reich and said, hey, you want to be the head coach? I said, sign me up right now. There's only 32 of them in the world. And you know what? Raheem learned from that. Then he went to the Rams. He's got a Super Bowl ring. Hey, that's something when you walk into the room and you just put out, hey, guys, here's what you got. Here's what you get. So that's huge.
All right, Candy.
One of their smartest moves was getting Kirk Cousins, but Kirk doesn't always stay healthy. So Penix Jr., is he the answer then? There's something to be said about developing a quarterback, and hopefully Cousins can stay healthy for them. I mean, they have so many other weapons and their division, like you said, is one of the lightest. So he has a chance to do well this year. Again, it's going to be about the buy-in and how everybody meshes with how he is running his program, and Kirk Cousins staying healthy. Those are the two things I'd say.
All right. You know what? Atlanta defense might have to win these games for them. And the Steelers play them on Sunday, because Raheem Morris has a good defense. And as Jeremy mentioned, they have some great players, some good players on that defense. And I got to tell you, if we're in trouble this week, because Russell Wilson probably will not play. He has a calf injury from some stupid sled that our trainer had him pull or push or whatever it was he was doing. And, you just don't do that with quarterbacks. I think that guy should be fired. But, Mike Tomlin don't fire people, especially yes men. But anyhow, we're going to get back to this. I think Raheem Morris is going to do a pretty decent job down in Atlanta. He has Kirk Cousins. And if he stays healthy, as everyone mentioned here, Atlanta should have a pretty good season. But I see Kirk Cousins as a flop right now, because he's hurt, and he's always been hurt, and his age is against him as far as some of this goes. All right, as far as NFL goes. Okay, we're going to get into our next segment, brought to you by Alex's Flowers. Call today, 412-661-6071. Call Alex today. Hey, if you need flowers for a wedding, or you're just for your loved one, or a funeral, and I know funerals are not the greatest place, but if you need flowers and you want the right kind of flowers, call Alex today. He's been in business for over 30 years, 412-661-6071. Tell him Ralph Williams sent you. Alex's Flowers. All right. We're going to talk next about the two games that have just been played. The one last night that was a slop fest, from what I understand. I didn't catch the game because I was watching SmackDown, and I really didn't catch it on Peacock. But which is another thing too. It was on Peacock, and some people don't have Peacock. If the NFL wants to please everybody, the NFL needs to stop putting these games on places like Amazon and Peacock and start putting them on national networks and ESPN and stuff like that, where those are channels people have. Okay, a lot of people don't have Peacock. I have it. It's in my cable system. But I mean, and whatnot. But there's a lot that don't have it. We'll start with you, Candy. Your thoughts on this slop fest?
Let's face it, Ralph, the NFL is about the almighty dollar and how much money they can make. So if they can put it on a streaming service and get a little bit more money, that's what they did. Then they took them to a not safe place to play, and then they put them on a soccer field, and they didn't treat it at all. So it was a slide fest. I can't tell you, you were seeing them slide left and right, especially more so in the first half, I would say. They tried to do different things with different cleats to try and figure out what was going to work, what wasn't going to work. It also, I will say, showed that these, especially the Packers, did not play many of their guys in the preseason. And that is always evident, I think, in the first game, because they weren't syncing, they weren't always gelling. And part of it, I will admit, like Jordan Love was throwing and the receivers either weren't there or they were slipping and they couldn't. And so I don't know if it's so much, I think it's a combination of both, that they didn't play in the preseason and that they were slipping and sliding. Now, was it a clean game? By no stretch of the imagination. There were so many penalties. I mean, I can't even tell you. And there was a lot that they didn't even keep. Like, I mean, in the stat sheet, I think it's seven penalties, but it was way more flags than that. Do I think Philadelphia, that was the resurgence of Saquon Barkley, and I think that's what he really needed. The offensive line for Philadelphia really spread holes for him and allowed him to run. Philadelphia is going to be a tough, and their defensive line was giving Green Bay's offensive line a tough time. I think Philadelphia is going to be a really good team this year. Do I think the Packers are going to be good? Yes. I think they'll be fine. I think they just need, well, let me say this. Depending on Jordan Love and his injury and what they come forward with. I have not heard updates, although I did hear he walked out of the locker room without a limp. So I don't know. I'm hoping, because a healthy Jordan Love helps the Packers and helps everybody in the division, because I really think you hate to see any players go down with injuries, especially in the first game of the year. But it was sloppy. It was sloppy because of them not having a lot of preseason together. It was sloppy because of the field. They need to shore up a lot of things, but you know, the Packers intercepted Fields. They had their chances in the first quarter, and they came away with 2 field goals. Had they had 2 touchdowns, and then they missed a field goal, they would have won that game. So the Packers had their chances. They lost that game, but it was sloppy.
All right, Leo Haggerty.
Well, let's get right to it. I mean, why are they playing in Brazil? That makes no sense. Both teams have to go 5,600 miles one way to get there. The field is atrocious. And again, as a defensive back, when you can't trust your footing, that's a problem. And you know what, Candy? I'm going to agree with you so much on this. Look at the second half. There were 7 drives, and 6 of them ended up in scores. Neither team was conditioned to play a full game. And Ralph, I'm going to go on your show right now. I am going to be shocked if come October there's a 4-0 team. There may be 1 or 2, but I don't think you're going to see that. And that's why teams are not pushing their starters in preseason. Can you win the Super Bowl in the first 4 games? No. Can you lose it? Yes. If you go 1-3 or 0-4 out of the gate, look what you're staring at. You have got to go, if you go 0-4, you got to go 10-3 the rest of the way. That's a hard road to hoe, simply because there's no way you're going to end up playing teams that are not in the same predicament as you are. That's the one thing about the NFL. It's not for long. Things change week to week. And I hope that Jordan Love can play, because if that's the case, that he got hurt because of the way the field was, the Players Association need to come back and say, hey, this experiment of playing in a foreign country to open the game, hey, open the season, that's enough. It's over. Let's bury that right now.
All right, Jeremy.
Well, number one, Jordan Love didn't get hurt because of the field. He got hurt because of a guy on the ground grabbed him and another guy hit him. And if you actually slow that video down and you go into the video, it looked like it's either an MCL or an ACL, because you literally, as the pressure of, I think it was Josh Sweat on the ground and then Jayla Carter come in, you saw the knee pop.
There, Bubba.
Yeah, but you saw the knee pop in the video. Somebody did a close-up of it. You literally can see the violent shake of when the pop happened. And let's put it this way, J.J. McCarthy also walked out without a limp after the Vikings game from the locker room, and he ended up with a torn MCL. And
All right.
to your point there about the 0-4 is, yes, it's hard to go 10-3, but it's harder to go 10-3 and then have so many injuries. It's a way easier to lose your last 4 games due to those injuries. So I think that's another reason why that. And you can say we got to grow the brand. At least put it in a place where the field is treated for NFL playing and not leave it for the sport that's there. That was what we were talking about.
And you know what, Jeremy? What people don't realize is that field was a combination of synthetic and grass. And when he got that leg in the ground and they're holding it, there's no give. That was the real problem, that they were. And again, the NFL, they don't play on those type of fields. They either play on a grass field or they play on turf. They don't play on a combo field. That was a real problem for players. You could see that.
All right. We're going to finish this up here. My thoughts on this is, even though I didn't see it, is it was, I'm calling it the slop bowl, because I'm going to tell you, if that field was as bad as it is, and here's the interesting part about this, everyone, don't forget, the LA Chargers played in a soccer field, but at least that field was, before they got the new stadium, of course, at least that field was in decent shape, because I've seen the Steelers play down there a few times against the LA Chargers. But this field, from what I'm seeing and understanding here, was a slop fest, and that's sad. And the NFL would be ashamed of themselves, but it's all about money, as we say here. I want to welcome Richard, Joseph, and Broski Bear to the comment section here tonight. And I want to thank everyone for. Go ahead, Candy.
One more thought, just so, because I know everybody wants to know what's going on. We're not going to know, because the Packers don't land until noon Central Time, even from this trip. So Love has to come back. They have to evaluate him. It's going to be a while yet this afternoon. But I do want to say, I thought one of the classy moves that I saw, because when Love was sitting on the bench after the game, and because they were still evaluating him, that Jalen Hurts went over to him on the Packers bench and went over and told him good game and whatever else they said. But I thought it was a classy move, because normally you meet in the middle on the field, and obviously Love couldn't, because it was his injury was at the end of the game. But Jalen went over to him and talked to him, and I thought that was a very classy move. So,
hey guys, can I throw one thing out, because we're getting late? But how about the end of the Ravens-Chiefs game? And the only reason I say that is there's a rule, and I want to know if any of you know about this, and if it's still in existence, that if a defensive player hits a receiver in the air and they would have come down in bounds and they knock them out of bounds, that's a catch. I'm wondering, is that something that, because the Ravens couldn't challenge because it's the last 2 minutes, and if that's even challengeable, because you can see when Lively caught the ball, he gets hit. If he comes straight down, it's a catch. Now, again, he's a toenail over the line, but would that be something that was challengeable? Anybody with that one?
All scoring plays are challenged, and they changed that rule 4 or 5 years ago to make it to where guys could be pushed out of bounds and it's an incompletion now. So that rule's gone away. You can't be landing and looking like you're going to land inbounds. I think it was actually almost 7 years ago, if I remember right. It was 2017 was when the rule changed back. So that's the one thing they gave defenders back, because that was always the rule in the NFL. And then they changed it back in 2000, early 2000s, that if you push them out, it's a catch. They changed it back because they realized there's way too many advantages in the passing game already. You can't make it that hard on a corner.
All
So,
right.
and then
Okay.
they automatically reviewed it, and because his toe was on the line when he caught the ball, he's out of bounds. Now, here's the thing.
I'll tell you what,
Remember,
they-
he's a
Yeah,
tight
they-
end playing wide receiver. If it had been a wide receiver, they'd have pointed their toes in that catch and risked an ankle injury to get the touchdown. Because he's a tight end, he landed flat-footed.
And you know what? They had to use the Hubble telescope to find out he was over the line. That was a toenail. Absolutely.
Oh, it was.
All
They had
right.
a perfect shot on that pylon camera. It showed it. It was on the line. I'm sorry, it may have been a toenail, but it's a
Out
game
of
of
bounds is out of bounds, right, Jeremy?
it's a game of inches, and 1 inch cost them a touchdown.
Touchdown. Yes, it is. All right. And like Al Pacino said, in any given Sunday, you got to fight for that inch. So, you know, but anyway, let's go to our local segment here, which is brought to you in part by Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Call Robin today. Look, Robin came to my house 10 years ago and sat down with me with insurance options. Yesterday, I called him to pay my insurance bill on my van, and he helped me get a discount from another insurance company. Call Robin today. I saved $200 by him getting me that discount. I got the same things, but I got a $200 discount. Call Robin today, 412-366-3399. Life, auto, fire, and renter's insurance. Any kind of insurance you need. Life insurance, I'm dealing with them on as well. Robin Campbell Insurance, 412-366-3399. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. All right, this is our local segment, kind of like what we do on Fire Up, which is our hometown. So it's similar. We'll start with you, Candy, since you're our special guest today.
I would say I think Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee Brewers deserves Manager of the Year. I think what he has done with that team is remarkable. They are still in first place. They have a tough road these last couple of weeks. They play some tough teams, but Craig Counsell left and Pat Murphy walked in, and he has really gotten a lot of rookies and a lot of young players. He's had a lot of injuries in the game, but I think he's doing a really good job, and I think he deserves Manager of the Year.
All right, Jeremy.
Well, you can always find me on the South Florida Tribune, especially on Thursday nights for the Fire Up Show with our host Candy and our co-host Ralph, who's always there every week with me, where we talk about sports in general, but it's that time of year where it's going to be dominated by the main sport in the United States, which is football.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Baseball's starting to wrap up a little bit and get ready for the World Series and playoffs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, but anyway, let's see what we got here. Let's go here. Jalen Carter wrecking trees and knees. All right, let's see what Broski Bear has to say here. He says that's not a rule. Okay, well, there we are.
Yep.
Broski Bear.
But anyways, then there's my channel, Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where you can find me, well, basically 7 days a week, because here it is, day 7, and we see all the people coming out of the chat. But
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Because
And
of me being on your shows, I got a new audience, and I love it. Candy, thank you as well. Leo, I put my shows on Amped Up Sports, and I got all these on, and Sideline Sports. I'm even getting ready to start simulcasting the Huddle, the one that you're on, Jeremy. I just talked to Ken, so you know this is moving along here. So you know, TGI Sports Network as well. We're going to be simulcasting real soon. So we're going to be on a whole bunch of national networks, and then we're going radio again. So, you know, it's sports. The RW Media Productions brand is starting to really come along. Leo, you're local.
South Florida's down at Alabama, and of course they're going to rename the field Nick Saban Field. It just what Alabama needs: more incentive to get and go out and beat you to a pulp. I think South Florida can be competitive in this one if they stay healthy. And again, my biggest fear, and I said this to the coaching staff, is that Alabama just comes out and plays big boy football and runs it down your throat, because they'll just wear you out. The Bucks open up Sunday against the Commanders. We got the Rowdies. They're playing. We have a new women's soccer team, the Tampa Bay Sun. They're playing. So we have a plethora of activities this weekend in the Tampa Bay area.
All right. Up here in Pittsburgh, those of you who don't know, Russell Wilson has a calf injury that he re-aggravated in practice, that he got in training camp because of some knucklehead made him pull a sled or push a sled or whatever. And but Justin Fields probably will start, but they're going to try to go with Russell Wilson as much as possible. We will see what happens. The good news is we have a reasonably good third-string quarterback in Kyle Allen. Don't sell him out. And the Steelers will probably work out another quarterback, put him on the practice squad coming up soon. And as well, the Pirates, they keep laying an egg. And, here and there, winning one game, losing 10. And all that other stuff. I think it's time for the Sheldon Charrington regime to get a good look at by owner Bob Nutting, which probably will not happen. And, the Riverhounds, as Leo said, is really doing a pretty decent job. They're undefeated right now, they have a lot of ties, but still they're undefeated, which is a good thing. They haven't lost for a while. So that's good news. And they haven't been blown out, as I mentioned earlier. The Penguins are getting started. The Sidney Crosby contract still is in the finishing processes of getting worked out by the regular season. Chris Letang once traded. Good goodbye. I'm not saying that he's not a good player. He's been here. He's won his Stanley Cups. It's time for him to go. He wants to go to Montreal and play in Canada. And then if Evgeny Malkin wants to finish out his contract here and he's going to Russia, he will not be back in the NHL. And Malkin deserves, to do that as well. He's going to do like Jaromir Jagr here. So, all right. Anyone have any final thoughts? And tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and your networks and everything. We'll start with you, Leo.
I'm going to put up my Leo's Losers. That's going to go up before noon today. And I'll put up the NCAA today. And I'll put up the NFL next week. I was 2-1 last week. The problem was it was the wrong one. The one I had the most money on was LSU. But I had definitely winners with the other two. With definitely, and I don't see how anybody didn't see this one coming, is with Cam Ward going to Miami. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to come out right now. Ohio State plays Miami in the college football final.
All right, Leo, Scott says that he'll bring you on one of his shows soon. So just to let you know that as well, that's in the private chat from Candy. All right. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here for the External Bum Show. It's great to be back here on our 9 a.m. slot every Saturday. Don't forget to tune in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. It's great to be the host here, kind of like switcheroo here, because I'm on Jeremy's show on Wednesday night when we talk NFL, and he hosts that, and then I'm on with Candy and Jeremy on Thursday. So it's great to have the Fire Up folks here, and as always, Leo Haggerty with his great wisdom and also his great information as well. This has been one great show. It's great to be back once again. Don't forget, next Saturday, we'll be here at 9 a.m. sharp right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Everyone have yourself a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and please be safe. Thank you.
Take care, guys.